Greetings, everybody. Welcome to this moment. Welcome to the here and now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Brian Piergrossi. This is the Brian Piergrossi podcast, which is live on Facebook Live right now, live on Instagram Live right now. Will be archived on YouTube and will be heard wherever you get your podcasts. When you're entering, you can share where you're from and say hello. Hello, Deborah. On Instagram, welcome to see you. Welcome to see you. It's good to see you. Be here with you. So yesterday, I got some feedback from Annie and from some other people about the value of the vulnerability in my sharing. And if you didn't catch that episode yesterday, then go ahead and do that. But it made me feel into, vulnerability. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about vulnerability. Let's talk about the power of vulnerability. I was just reading an interesting article, which I just shared with Annie. Welcome, Darlene. I forgot for this one, I have to scroll down. Okay. About masculine and feminine. So the masculine yearns for, the highest value of the masculine is freedom, and the highest value of the feminine is love, right? The highest value of the masculine is freedom. The highest value of the feminine is love. Now, I'm not talking about men and women. I'm talking about masculine and feminine. So each of us have masculine. Each of us have feminine. Some of us have more masculine than feminine. Some of us have more feminine than masculine. And so the highest value of the feminine is love. The highest value of the masculine is freedom. Now, what came up in the conversation this morning is that men have a challenging time being vulnerable. And that's an interesting phrasing. I'm going to get back to that in a moment. So men have a difficult time or a challenging time being vulnerable compared to women. Women tend to be more feminine. Men tend to be more masculine. Women, it's a little bit easier to be vulnerable, especially with each other, than it is for men. Because the highest value is love. And so there's a sense of, in being vulnerable, there's a deeper connection between us. The more we're emotionally vulnerable, the more we're emotionally available, there's a deeper connection between us that opens up into being. So there's a deeper level of intimacy. Intimacy comes through vulnerability. If there's no vulnerability, there's no intimacy, right? And there's these, I call them, I'm trying to remember what I call them. There's these points in a relationship. And when you reach that point, there's this perception that what I'm about to share could make this person not like me anymore. If I share this thing, it may make them not like me anymore. Oh, pivot points, because you can pivot in a number of directions at that point in time. So if I share this thing, it may make this person not like me anymore. How do I know how they'll respond to what I have to share? Right? I don't know how they're going to respond to what I have to share. So I'm in an unknown territory. But I do know if I share this thing that I don't know how they'll receive it, or if they'll like me anymore or not like me, or they'll think I'm not a perfect person, or they'll think I'm imperfect. They'll think that I'm flawed. They'll think that I don't have it all together, right? If I share this thing, there is the potential for a deeper level of intimacy to emerge. And if I don't share this thing, there's no potential for a deeper level of intimacy to emerge. So if I want intimacy in my life, if I want connection in my life, if I want love in my life, then I'm going to share it with you, because that creates the potential for a deeper intimacy between us. And if I share it and you don't like me anymore, or you don't want to be around me anymore, or you think I'm a weirdo, or you think I'm a freak, or whatever you think about me, then that's valuable information for us to live from a place of authentic relating. So we don't want to be in relationships that are fake. We don't want to be in relationships where we can't be ourselves. We don't want to be in relationships where we have to pretend to be someone we're not. We want to be in a space of relationships of authenticity. And the only way to do that is to share authentically, genuinely, and vulnerably. And then in doing that, the right people who are on an authentic level of resonance with us come into our life, and we're surrounded by people that are in relationships of authenticity with us, because we're living our truth, we're speaking our truth, we are being honest with ourselves, we're being honest with people around us and what we truly want, what we truly desire, what we truly don't want, what we truly don't desire, our flaws, our shortcomings, our gifts, etc. Make sense so far? So now, why is it a challenge for the masculine? Because the masculine values freedom, right? So when you are in a space where you are living a life that's inauthentic, living a life that's not true to you, having to say things that aren't true, having to speak things that are not really of true value to you, having to pretend to be someone you're not, having to speak things that aren't really aligned with your true purpose. Where's the freedom in that? Do you see any freedom in that? I don't see any freedom in that at all. So the message to men is, if you want to be truly free, you want to be courageous, you want to face obstacles and challenges. And as men, we actually really do enjoy facing obstacles and challenges. Then be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Have the courage to be vulnerable, right? It's courageous to be vulnerable. When you're not vulnerable, you're in a space of fear. So have the courage to be vulnerable. And as you move into a space of vulnerability, which is being authentic and genuine in the moment, you move into the greatest level of freedom you could possibly imagine, and you move into the greatest level of love you could possibly imagine. And as you go deeper, imagine going down, 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 down. You're chasing freedom on this end. You're chasing love on this end. You're chasing freedom, love, freedom, love. And as you hit the root, you find that freedom and love are the exact same thing. Freedom and love are the exact same thing. To be absolutely in love is to be absolutely free. And if you're not absolutely in love, you're not absolutely free. And to be absolutely free is to open to the deepest state of love. And it's always here in this moment now. It's never anywhere else. It's always here present in this moment now. So as men, like if you're not being vulnerable, you're being a wimp. Step up. Step your game up. Stop being so afraid. It's okay to feel afraid, but it's not okay to be stuck in the fear, right? So step your game up, stop being a wimp, and be more vulnerable, especially be more vulnerable to the women in your life. That's what they want, what they long for. It's what they're telling me they want from you. So do that, right? Question on Instagram. Going back to vulnerability, would you say that it's wise to be selective with whom you're vulnerable around? Great question. And that's something that I've learned a bit about myself on my journey. And I would say, yes, there is wisdom in that. Brene Brown, who's written some of you know the author, who's written some great books on vulnerability, shares that she has a little like note card that she carries. And this is especially important when you're someone that's in the public eye, or you're a public figure, or you're kind of out connecting to a lot of different people. So she has a note card, and the people on the note card, which is a very small note card, it's actually like one of those pads that you like sticky pads. So she has the names of the people on that little piece of paper that are important to her, and the people that she's dedicated to vulnerability with. She's devoted to full depth of intimacy with. And those people, she cares what they think about her. She cares what they feel about her. Right? Does this make sense? And the people who aren't on that little card, the names that aren't on that card, she doesn't care what they think about her or what they feel about her. Right? Because if you start caring about what everybody thinks about you, you're going to drive yourself completely insane, right? Everyone has so many different perspectives and ideas and opinions and thoughts on things, right? So it's a good question, and I think there is a sense of sort of natural, intuitive sense of who is of value to you to open and be vulnerable with. In the work that I do, working with clients, it's essential to be open and vulnerable. If they're not open and vulnerable with me, then it's pointless. There's really no sense of even engaging, even having a sentence shared. It's like that sense of vulnerability and openness is essential with your family, right? With your spouse, with your husband, your wife, your children. The people that you desire to deepen an intimacy with, the vulnerability is essential. And what I found as well is intimacy is what we long for the most as human beings. It's what gives us the greatest sense of fulfillment as human beings. So here's what I've discovered that's really fascinating. Intimacy is what we absolutely long for the most as human beings. It's absolutely what we fear the most as human beings. What we long for the most, and also what we fear the most. And in that deep desire, that deep yearning, and that deep fear is where all the melodrama of the great screenplays and novels and this all comes into being in this space. And we fear it because it's so important to us, and the vulnerability and the fear of rejection, the fear of being let down, the fear of failure. So we can feel all of that, and yet there's no reason not to notice that, to be aware of that, and to move forward nonetheless, because it's what provides the greatest value in our lives. It's what in so many ways gives our life the meaning. Any other questions, comments, jokes, riddles? This level of intimacy comes through presence. I really want to emphasize that. This level of vulnerability comes through presence, which the foundation is being present with yourself. So if you're not intimate with yourself, like if I'm not connected to what I really desire, if I'm not connected to what I really feel, if I'm not connected to what's happening inside my body in this moment, then how can I possibly share any of that with you? Right? How can I possibly communicate that to you? It's difficult enough for us to communicate things anyway, right? But if we're not aware, if we're not self-aware first, if we're not intimate with ourselves, we don't have a deep sense of self-love, then how do we share that with someone else, right? So you start with yourself. Start with yourself, and you start this, and the way you start is by being present. So what I take people through, whether it's a retreat or it's a workshop or it's coaching clients, is being present on a foundational level with yourself, learning to be present with yourself, learning to love yourself. To love yourself just means to be present, to be in an unconditional relationship with this moment. That's love. Send me a message if you want to delve in deeper to anything I've shared today. It's Friday here in Asheville, North Carolina. It's a beautiful day. I wish you a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next now.